Hey everyone, so for this video what I wanted to do was rank Florida Panthers logos. So of course we're going to stretch all the way back to 1993, and for these logos I'm focusing on the ones that have appeared on uniforms. So we're talking about on the front of the jersey, on the shoulders or on the arms, or on the helmet. So there have only been 8 logos so far, at least from what I gathered here. I looked at sportslogos.net, and these had to have been like regular used logos, or logos regularly used, I should say. In other words, like commemorative patches, I'm keeping that out because sometimes like the nature of those designs are very different than the nature of the ones that actually go into the uniform. And it's interesting for these. I think that some of my opinions might be pretty surprising here, and I do welcome your opinions down in the comments down below. I have produced many videos talking about logos and jerseys. We'll definitely get into jerseys in a separate video. And maybe I'll have a chance to actually like really dive deeply into the Panthers kind of branding history, right? Logos, jerseys, and that sort of thing. I actually made a jersey unboxing and jersey history video on my channel about 2 years ago. So I'm sure there are all kinds of good nuggets there. So without further ado, I'm going to start here with the very bottom of these rankings with number 8. And for me, it is the shoulder patch that was used in the 2009 alternate jersey. This is during the Reebok era of jerseys. So for this one, I mean, really, it does not quite compare to another shoulder logo that has been used before. And FLA is kind of interesting in that I don't see too many teams using the state abbreviation in their branding, or the NHL team abbreviation, I should say, because FL is for Florida, right? But yeah, this to me is kind of lackluster, and I don't really think it stands out as a sports logo per se. There isn't like any sort of sports vibe in this. Not even anything pertaining to hockey specifically. But yeah, to me, it's just there really isn't all that much happening. The lettering is kind of different than what we've seen from the Panthers before. There's a sun, and I like the little light blue outline, the stroke around the sun with the dark blue as well. Which fits into the jersey, but it really just doesn't feel like Florida Panthers to me all that much. That's what I'm trying to get at here. It looks like something from a beach volleyball league or something like that. And the rest of the jersey doesn't really even feel like that, to be honest. It's actually more of a take on kind of like classic hockey jersey designs. So I just don't think that this is a good fit, particularly, and as I mentioned before, there's another shoulder logo that will definitely rank higher. Okay, number 7. Number 7 is also from that jersey. So the circular logo is something that I actually like for some teams. The Minnesota Wild have done it before, a team that normally doesn't have a circular logo. The Blackhawks in their history have had a couple of logos like that. I think there are some other teams I could think of as well. Orlando Solar Bears, if we're going to look at ECHL, which I certainly would approve of. But for this one, I just don't like the design of the Panthers so much. The angularity, especially with the jaw, that's not doing it for me all that much, especially since the Panthers would use more kind of rounded elements later on when kind of rebranding. The eyes, I don't know why the eyes in this file or in this actual logo are gold as well. I would think that they should be red or white. And yeah, there's nothing happening behind the Panther either, so I don't know. I would have recolored that per se. And the text, there isn't any hockey elements, right? You could have had like pucks on the side instead of little dots, right? So again, I think that this one, it just kind of seems rushed to me. And, especially when you're drawing on what many people consider to be one of the better brands in hockey over the last 30 years, it certainly does seem like that missed opportunity. So that's why it's a number 7. Number 6, and some people might have this at the top of their list, actually. I have the original logo breaking the stick. 2 things stand out to me with this logo. First of all, I normally wouldn't say this, but I really think that it might be overly detailed. I mean, there's all sorts of shading on the chest and the abdomen. There's elements in the paws and shading marks on the claws, right? Which, I mean, it looks really cool in that sense. I think that there's a little bit too much going on with that. The colors kind of almost clash in a sense. And then the other thing is that there's the stick as well. And when you look at the shape of this logo, I myself, I'm not a huge fan. I'll try to only say this once. I'm not a huge fan with the Panthers original logo. It's very skinny at the bottom, and then it fans out. Now, there are some teams that do that, right? Pittsburgh Penguins with a triangle. My San Jose Sharks do that as well. But when you look at the fabric, right, when you're actually stitching the logo together, assembling the logo, there's going to be a lot of like white material around the extremities, and it's just to keep the logo held together. I'm a jersey collector, so I do know a thing or two about that. And so I don't like that extra material that you need just because the extremities are so far out in one direction versus another. So anyway, I know I'm not really driving home my point too much, or maybe I'm being particular here, but I've always felt that about the original Panthers branding, and I think the stick only kind of adds to that. Okay, fifth, I have the current logo, right? Here, I'll show you. I got a jersey of it. Now, when the Panthers rebranded, I think this is back in 2016, I was actually a huge fan of this. And I think that it's a beautiful logo. Like, look at some of that detailing, right? The actual elements of this, the shading of this in particular, and the use of color, right? Just that little touch of red. I think this is, very well designed. Absolutely. But a lot of people will say that it looks like a soccer logo, doesn't look like a hockey logo, and it's missing some of that character, right? From the original Florida Panthers. So I can certainly understand that. Again, I think that on its own, it's excellent. But in terms of fitting in with, a South Florida professional hockey team, I don't necessarily think that this is the solution, right? Now, of course, the owner that took over, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but he has a military background. And so that sort of became a motif for the brand. Now, again, I'm not sure how it lines up with South Florida hockey, but it is like well crafted in and of its own. It's just lacking that character and personality. Still, I think that this is well designed. So I got it in fifth. In fourth, I have the original logo. I also have it on a jersey here, and it looks magnificent because it's an authentic. So I don't have the reverse retro. I have this great starter authentic. It still has one of the tags on it, and I bought this back in a couple of years ago for like $65. What a hell of a deal I got on that. I mean, this looks incredible. It looks wonderful, I have to say. I'm not a huge fan of something that's primarily, gold or, kind of a sand color. That's maybe a personal preference. Of course, the little touches of red to the shading certainly do help out. But as I was saying before, there is a lot going on with that. It looks great. I don't know. I think that I'm just being too particular. But growing up, I never was a big fan of that logo. I think until I actually bought that exact jersey, then I was like, wait, now I see what everyone's going crazy about. But, oh yeah, you guys are really going to like me. I still have to say that, like, original Mighty Ducks, that still, I think, holds up better than maybe this logo does. In terms of, like, the angularities, and I think maybe the complexity and shading is just a little bit too much. The Panthers would refine that. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But yeah, that jersey's awesome. Third, I have the original shoulder logo. I should have kept the jersey up here. One sec. Now, okay, what looks cooler, right? Does this look cooler than this? No, it doesn't. Of course, this looks cooler. But in terms of shoulder logos, this to me, it says everything about hockey in Florida. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's a lot better than anything the Lightning have ever come up with here. I'll sort of redeem myself. The coloring on this is wonderful. It just offers a perfect pop on the shoulder here with this, kind of goldenrod or marigold. You even have some navy in here as well for the stick and the palm tree and the sun. It's just perfect. I haven't seen... There are a few shoulder patches that really do sum up the identity of their team as well as, I think, for the Florida Panthers. And so, while it's not like, a different look at the cat, it's still just, I don't know, man. It just goes so well with this color scheme. I love the marigold, the goldenrod. I wish that they would bring that back instead of the sand color. But anyway, just enough detailing, and you can instantly recognize what it is, right? So I think it does its job about as well as any shoulder patch out there. That's why it's in third. Second of all, I guess he should have pulled up the other jersey, but this logo, right? Super military, but it's so unique. Because first of all, it's not even on the shoulder. It's on the upper arm so that the numbers can be on the shoulders. No other team in the NHL does that. Very few teams in the last, I'd say, 40 years have had a logo or an actual emblem on the arm. And the Panthers do it, and it works perfectly. I love the perspective of the cat. Looks like he's crouching down on a hunt. The the badge at the top where it says Panthers, and then of course you have the state of Florida flag or something very close to it, which I love. I love all sorts of state or city identity or regional identity tied into jerseys and branding. I really do. And so this to me is one of a kind in today's NHL. And so that's why I wanted to put it at number 2. In a video I made on my main channel, Twisted Wrister Hockey, I had this as I selected this as my favorite all time. However, I gotta say, although the actual digital file that I'm using here doesn't really do it for me all that much, I certainly think that the original logo looks cooler compared to this one. There's something about the way that it looks on the Panthers helmets, and I'm wearing a t-shirt of this. This here is perfect. This, in my opinion, should be the Panthers logo. And I don't think it ever needs to change. I think this is awesome. It's ferocious. It's been updated. It's a little bit more rounded versus some of the angularities of the original logo. The shading on this has been simplified. It looks better. There's not as much of a competition in the color scheme, I don't think. And so I think that is the best logo that the Florida Panthers have. But, of course, I want to know your thoughts, guys. How much are you married to the original design versus what they are wearing now? What do you think of my selection here at number 1? And, yeah, that's what you're going to get with me. Different opinions as they pertain to jerseys and logos and that sort of thing. So, again, I'm thinking I'll make a video like this for all the Florida Panthers jerseys, and then maybe we'll do a separate video on kind of the history of the branding a little bit further down the line. So anyway, I hope you found this one useful, and feel free to let me know if you'd like me to make other videos like this. I think I'll definitely be making content kind of like this. Maybe not so much a lot of it for my main channel, Twisted Wrister Hockey, but I would certainly consider it for my memberships, which I will launch this upcoming season. Anyway, thanks for watching this. I hope you found it useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.